Hello everybody, I'm Jeffrey Hauser, author of the Learn With series. This is just a screencast. I've been playing around a lot with Ionic and Angular, just doing something a little different. I haven't really had a chance to delve into it majorly from the past, but I'm doing it now because it's always good to learn new things. So I want to talk about styling. I've been working with someone, and frameworks like Ionic, like ng Bootstrap, like ng Material are amazing out of the box, and they provide you the default styles and everything you need to get going. But on any real project, you're probably going to have a client asks for tweaks. And I've done this a lot with ng Material. It's the first time I've been experimenting with this on ng Bootstrap, rather the Ionic component library, not ng Bootstrap. And from there, we're going to tell you a little about this. I'm going to talk about styling using CSS variables in Ionic. And what I've done, I started by creating a default project, the list project. I have it running, so let's just refresh my browser. This is a project. Mocks and Inbox provides a list of things, and we can click in and see details. So 2 screens in the app. What we want to do for the purposes of this is I want to remove the bottom border from the very last element of the list. And this is an actual real request I had on a project. And so I was helping somebody with it. And I thought this was way too difficult. I should do a screencast about this. I'm probably going to do 2 screencasts about this, but because I found 2 different ways to do this. So the CSS behind this is not difficult. So I'm going to pop up my CSS Explorer, go to the last item on the list, drill down. There we go. And so what we have here, within the list, each list has an ion item. There's this shadow root here. I believe the Ionic components are built as web components, then somehow exposed to Angular. So that's why we have this shadow root here. I don't remember seeing this type of thing in standard Angular components. So it's actually very difficult to hit the stuff down here. So I'm going to actually select the ion. I believe it's this one. And I'm just going to add border style none. And let's get rid of that there. One up, do it on item ender. There we go. So yes, now you see the very last item in the list has lost the bottom border, but the bottom border still remains on every other one. So it's actually really easy to pop open a browser and do that, but writing the CSS code inside Angular to do that, bit difficult, or more difficult than it was in the browser. So I'm going to go back to my code editor. I have opened up the home screen component, and down here we see the list, the Ion list, and it's looping around this app message. And there's an ng4 to display all the messages. So I'm going to open up app message and take a look at the message component. So we have an Ion item. There's a router link, which means it's completely clickable and ties into the router to navigate to that other screen, passing in the message ID. What we want to do is figure out a way to tell the browser that, hey, with this Ion list, we want the last item to have no border. What we're going to do, let me go back to the browser. We're going to use something called CSS variables. You see them here. They're variables, so that means we can actually modify the variable. And here, I'll undo it. We're going to actually do the border style. And we're going to try to apply a custom border style variable on the very last element. So switch back to the component. I'm going to open the global CSS because we're doing Ion list and there's a subcomponent. We can't actually access both of those items and the Ion item inside the app message because of the way Angular encapsulates styles between components. So I'm going to put this in a global component. So ion list dot list with no bottom border on last child. And I really hope that in your real applications you can find meaningful names that are shorter. So homepage, underneath the homepage is app message. So we're going to do app message and use this selector, CSS selector, to only apply our custom styles to the last item. Now inside the app message there is an Ion item, and inside this Ion item we're going to set the border style to none, just like I did in the browser. Now because we're giving this a name, it's not going to apply to every single Ion list in the application, even though this application only has one. So I'm just going to apply it to the one we want to. In a real application, it'll probably have more. So we go back to my console, compiled, and we should have it reloading in the browser. I'm going to make sure to do a fresh reload, and I'm going to scroll down. And yes, it appears to have worked. So the input wrapper, actually item inner is where we actually applied it. That border style variable, you can see it's none there. And if we go up here, item inner, border style is solid. So something different. So that is the first approach we used, and the only one I'm going to talk about here, to remove the underline or the border around the last element of an Ion list.